Why always got me meeting in these weird places? Dude, Jerry, where the hell are you? What the hell? You should have seen your face. I don't even know why I hang out with you two anymore.
You don't mean that.
Oh, wait, hey, remember that time that Mark decided it was a good idea to bring you here to the prom?
I would like to say they never caught me, and I don't remember y'all drunk asses complaining.
Oh. God, Rick, why'd you have to go to college?
Sorry that I wanted to better myself.
You should be.
Oh, God. Man, I just wanted to get my career started. It's not like I'm gonna be going forever. And since when did you two get all sentimental?
Oh, come on, man. I'm not... Did you guys hear that?
Hear what?
Go check it out.
You wonder why I'm the one going off to college.
Really? Run!
Go! 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 Come on, let's go! Come on, Dad! You're good! Let's do it!
Go!
Alright, let's do this, come on!
Everything that you've just witnessed was inspired by true events. We all have an idea of what monsters look like. They have claws, sharp teeth, and they're made of things that we can only imagine in our nightmares. Now, add wings to these monsters and set them free in the sky. Those are the type of monsters that we're going to be talking about today. People all around the world, but specifically in North and South America, have been witnessing monstrous-sized birds flying above their heads. Are these monsters myth? Are they real? Or are they possibly something that we thought had gone extinct millions of years ago? Today, we're going to be covering the Thunderbirds. My name is Justin Sisk, and this is Stories of Lore. Thunderbirds are enormous birds that shadow the sky. But first, before we start talking about the sightings and what the Thunderbirds are, let's talk about where the stories and the claims might have come from. Thunderbirds are extremely heavy in Native American folklore and stories. Some tribes, such as the Sioux and the Cherokee, believe that Thunderbirds are real creatures that are in the skies above. A lot of the sightings of these birds happen a lot in the North American continent, especially in the American Southwest, the Great Lakes, and the Great Plains. So, Let's talk about the myths and the legends of the Thunderbirds and where they might have come from. And are they real or are they simply a myth?
In ancient times, there was another enormous bird of prey that was depicted in stories and myths on a separate continent from the Thunderbirds. This bird was called the Rook and was shown a lot in Arabian and Middle Eastern fairy tales and legends.
These birds were enormous. Some writings of them even describe them as mountains floating in the sky. Later on, experts would theorize that the reason people were making stories and myths about these legendary birds was because they were witnessing giant eagles picking up animals such as sheep and things like that. And maybe we could apply that to the Rook's close cousin, the Thunderbird. But yet, there still is another story that goes back maybe farther than the Rook that involves a giant bird.
During the times of the ancient Greeks, there was a story about a fallen god by the name of Prometheus. He was one of the original titans that Zeus overthrew before the Olympic gods took power over Olympus. Prometheus gave the gift of fire and knowledge to the humans, which angered the gods above. His punishment was to be sent down to the underworld, where he would be strapped to a rock, and a giant bird would come every day and feast on his liver. His liver would then grow back just in enough time for the bird to come the very next day. Could this bird have been just a manifestation of an idea or a religion? Or was it based in fact, like something similar to the Rook or the Thunderbird? The Thunderbirds are large, sacred birds to the Native Americans. They were normally dark in color and were thought to bring thunderstorms with them wherever they went. Their wings were so large that they created thunder when they flapped them. Unlike the Rook, however, people are reporting seeing these birds of myth, and some of them are trying to move their way to the top of the food chain.
When we typically think about a bird's diet, we normally think that they eat things like rabbits, snakes, and other small animals. But what we don't think is that we could be the next item on their menu. There have been reports of large birds attacking people and even picking up small children a couple feet off the ground and carrying them a few feet before dropping them back onto the ground. What kind of bird could do such a thing like this?
This is a picture of the largest bird in the world. It is called the great albatross. It has a wingspan of around 12 feet and it makes its nests on the islands from the Atlantic Ocean off the east coast of the United States of America to the Indian Ocean. Because of where they make their nests, these birds would not be a good candidate for the Thunderbird, nor do they match the description at all. This, however, is a picture of the largest bird known to the Americas, the California condor, belonging to the Andean condor family. Their wingspan reaches up to around 10 feet and is what a lot of people claim to be the giant bird of myth.
Condors are massive birds, but could they be the thing that people are calling the Thunderbirds? Their wingspan is impressive, but the reported Thunderbird is said to be a lot larger than the typical size of a condor. Condors do tend to live in mountainous and coastal areas. They choose these areas because of the wind currents. They use these wind currents to ensure that they stay flying in the air, which does coincide some with the Thunderbird myth. If a condor likes to be in an area where there are strong wind currents, one would think it might also use wind currents from storms. And if it does use the wind currents from storms, when they come into an area following a storm, it may appear like they are bringing a storm to that area. But are these birds strong enough to pick up a small child? One would not think so. However, there are videos and photos that show these birds doing that exact thing. So,
Are these birds a lot stronger than we are giving them credit for, or is there another type of bird that is terrorizing the American Midwest? Native Americans respected nature and all of its animals. They believed that animals were equal to humans, but they did hunt them, but only for food. The Thunderbirds were no different. These birds were seen as sacred and even revered as gods or one with the gods. Some of the tribes that I mentioned previously believed that these Thunderbirds were actually just one singular entity. One that might have been a god or one that was among the gods, even communicated with them. Some believe that this Thunderbird also brought storms and rain, and also fought off reptilian monsters and protected the earth. Other tribes think that the Thunderbird were actually an entire race of beings, and that they had the ability to shapeshift into humans at will. Among the different beliefs of what the Thunderbirds are, there is one common theme, and that is the storms and the bringing of rain. Now, are these tribes just seeing condors and misjudging the size of these birds? Or maybe, perhaps, there is a bird that we thought was long extinct that still might be plaguing our skies. These gigantic birds were called teratorns, and they were the ancestors to the modern-day buzzard. Their wingspan reached to around an amazing 21 to 24 feet. But they were thought to have gone extinct more than 8 million years ago. This, of course, is the pterodactyl, which is a prehistoric dinosaur thought to have been extinct. But what if they didn't go extinct and are still flying in the skies above? Teratorns are extremely enormous birds, but they were thought to have gone extinct 8 million years ago. So what does that mean if they're still around today? If they are, this would not be the first time that something we thought went extinct and then turns out to still be alive. And maybe that's what's going on here with the Teratorn, because it does match the Thunderbird legend and myth to a T. And interestingly enough, in the year 1890, in the state of Arizona in the United States, 2 cowboys claimed that they killed a huge bird, but that this bird did not look like any other bird they had seen before. The wings were huge and seemed to be almost bat-like in nature, and the head resembled that of a crocodile. Well, that sounds a lot like the pterodactyl. But of course, we know that the pterodactyl went extinct millions and millions of years ago. Or did it? Is it possible that the pterodactyl or the teratorn is still alive, and they are still living undetected by our modern eyes? And another interesting fact, in the 1970s, it seems like that the sightings of Thunderbirds increase rapidly out of nowhere. There was even an account of seeing one of these mythical creatures in the state of Alaska. Thousands of people claim to see a giant bird flying above their heads that they said had a wingspan of 14 feet or more. Could these people have been seeing a condor that maybe flew a little too north of its natural habitat, or were they seeing something entirely different? The day, the tale of the Thunderbird is that of something we only thought could exist in our nightmares. A gigantic bird flying above our heads that could swoop down, pick us up, and eat us at any point in time. Was this mythical bird a creation of Native American folklore, or was it something more? Could it be a condor or a large eagle that could be being misjudged by its size? Could it be a thought to be extinct animal like the teratorn or the pterodactyl still flying above our heads, going undetected for all these years? Unfortunately, we may never have the answer to that question until a body or physical evidence is produced of these giant creatures. But the question still remains, what are people seeing? Are they seeing a long-lost relative of modern birds? Are they seeing a modern bird misjudged? Or are they possibly seeing something of myth and legend that we have not identified as a living creature yet? The answers are out there, but only if you keep an open mind. This has been Stories of Lore covering the myth and the legend of the Thunderbirds.